And so why did she dedicate the Nobel Prize to Trump?
For the same reason that the NATO Secretary of General is so effusive in his praise of Trump, and for the same reason that the British Prime Minister invited Trump to an elaborate state dinner with the King, because all kinds of people who want to be allies with the United States or who want something from the United States now understand that this is how you do diplomacy with the United States. I mean, and this is it's very ugly for Americans to watch. But this is, in the olden days, you would have a meeting at the White House, or you would talk to the Secretary of State, or you would talk to senior leaders in the Senate, and that would be how you would do diplomacy with America. And now the way you do diplomacy with America is doing something obsequious in the direction of Donald Trump.
Well, let's turn to Latin America. And the news lately has not been good for Venezuelans and Venezuela's leader, Nicolas Maduro. The New York Times reported today that Trump has given the go-ahead for covert CIA action in Venezuela. Yesterday, the military fired off another missile and downing a boat, killing 6 people. The death toll now up to 27, I believe, in 5 attacks. There are 10,000 troops amassed in the general area. So do you think the United States will go to war with Venezuela, or at least try to exert some kind of regime change militarily without full-scale invasion?
So there's several different things to say. I mean, first of all, Venezuela is a very, very ugly dictatorship. It's actually an example of a country that was a democracy and whose democracy was deliberately undermined by its previous leader, Hugo Chavez, kind of institution by institution, courts, universities, media, and so on, down the line. It has a very brave and creative opposition, which is right now led by the woman who's just won the Nobel Prize, Maria Corina Machado. I interviewed her at the end of last year and wrote about her recently. And they actually won an election at the end of last year. And they not only won it, the opposition won, and they proved they had won. They produced the tally papers that showed how voting had gone in different areas, and they showed that they'd won. And nevertheless, Maduro, who's now Chavez's successor, refused to leave power. And since the election and since those protests, there has been a really horrific repression in Venezuela. And I met just actually yesterday, I met several women who had been forced to flee. There are a lot of people in prison. The economy is terrible. I mean, the reason why Venezuelans have fled to Mexico and to Peru and to Colombia and to the United States is because Venezuela has become unlivable. So that's correct. It seems to me that the administration has mixed motives in wanting to intervene in Venezuela. Maybe there are some people who want to overthrow Maduro or put pressure on Maduro or use some kind of military action. I mean, I don't have a blueprint for what that's going to be, but clearly there's going to be something. Maybe they want to use that to put pressure on Maduro to persuade him finally to leave, or to persuade the army to abandon him. I mean, that seems to be the general plan. And I understand that's what the opposition thinks is going to happen as well. And maybe they want to do that to replace Maduro, to have a better leadership, to end that crisis. I mean, my fear is that through these, whatever kinetic action means, I mean, clearly the attacks on these boats, whoever was in the boats, whether they were fishermen or whether they were drug dealers, those are acts of extrajudicial killing. I mean, they were boats that were bombed from the air with no judgment or explanation. So there's no doubt that is already a war crime. So the other question is why Trump is doing this from the domestic point of view. I mean, one of my fears is that the idea is to create a war, to create a war that's supposed to be a war on drugs and a war on crime, and then use that war to spread the use of, I don't know whether it's going to be ICE paramilitary troops or US troops inside the United States, or to use it as part of a narrative. We're fighting bad guys in Venezuela. Now we need to fight them at home. This is my fear. I can't prove that's what's going to happen. So there could be different reasons why they want to do this. There is a good outcome, which is Maduro could resign, and we could have there is an alternative leadership in Venezuela that was democratically elected, and they could legitimately take his place, and then this could all be over. And then, of course, there's some much uglier outcomes, like the military says, we're going to fight the Yankee imperialists, and it all devolves and gets much uglier. So it is a very well, if it happens, it's a very risky policy. I'll leave it at that.
And do you know if Machado is in any contact with the Trump administration?
Oh, I'm sure she is. But they have been, they were in contact with the Biden administration too. So it's not, that's not new. I mean, the Venezuelans, after the election, they sought international support to put pressure on Maduro. They got some from the US, they got some from their immediate neighbors, including from Brazil and Mexico, who have sort of leftist governments who were historically aligned with Chavez. So they have the opposition has a lot of international relations, and I have no doubt that they talk to the Trump administration all the time.
Hi, I'm Pat Morrison, one of the hosts of America at a Crossroads. If you like this video, don't just watch. Head over to our website where you can subscribe for early access to new programs, see our upcoming schedules, and connect directly with our guests in our weekly live streams. Thank you for watching.
So is she ready to be part of a new administration? Should Maduro be toppled or leave? She wouldn't necessarily take over, but she might be one of the leaders.
So again, we have no idea what course of events there will be, and I can't predict it. And I don't know exactly what the United States plans to do either. If anything, there is, as you said in your question, there are these accumulations of American military force and ships and so on in the region. So it looks like that's what's going to happen. But to be clear, there was a president elected of Venezuela. It's not her, because she was banned from running. It's a former diplomat called Edmundo Gonzalez, who's right now in Spain. And he is the legitimate president of Venezuela. And so if Maduro were gone, yes, he could legitimately become the president because he won the election. So there is an alternative.
Yeah,
it's not. The idea is not that she would take over, but he is her in her party, and she's elected.
But is he seen as sort of a figurehead, and she's the real power of the opposition?
I suppose that's right. Yeah.
And so, why did she dedicate the Nobel Prize to Trump?
For the same reason that the NATO Secretary of General is so effusive in his praise of Trump, and for the same reason that the British Prime Minister invited Trump to an elaborate state dinner with the king, because all kinds of people who want to be allies with the United States, or who want something from the United States, now understand that this is how you do diplomacy with the United States. And this is it's very ugly for Americans to watch. But this is, in the olden days, you would have a meeting at the White House, or you would talk to the Secretary of State, or you would talk to senior leaders in the Senate, and that would be how you would do diplomacy with America. And now the way you do diplomacy with America is doing something obsequious in the direction of Donald Trump. And this is in line with what I was saying a few minutes ago, because what he cares about is not the long-term relationship of America to Venezuela. What he cares about is being seen as the winner. And everybody knows that. It's not very hard to figure out.
Next week, we'll have Linda Greenhouse from the New York Times speaking with Pat Morrison. So stay tuned for that. And then I will be back with you at a later date. And have a great evening.